In three, in two, in one, ladies and gentlemen, it is Yogi Bryan Talks. I'm Yogi Bryan. If you don't even know me, then yeah, I don't know why you're here. I mean, you got to know who I am, but I'm very excited. I'm very excited. My brother, entrepreneur, he is a big inspiration to me. We talk all the time just about our spiritual journey. Anton Wisbiski. How are you, Anton?
What's up, man? I'm incredible, dude. I have no complaints. Life is good, and I think although we're living in uncertain times, it's a very fruitful time for a lot of people to become a better version of themselves. So that's what I'm all about, and couldn't be any more grateful. How are you?
I love it. I'm great, man. I love looking at your page and watching your or listening to your podcast. And it's been a journey how we met. I mean, even before the Yogi show, and you've been on the Yogi show, it has been a journey, and we've learned so much along the way. And who would have thought like a pandemic would have happened? Like, when we first met, I would have never thought like this world would be where, this world now we're living in. And
Never.
thankfully we had the tools. We had the
Yeah.
tools of like, breath work, meditation, yoga, things like that. So yeah, I'm doing well, and I'm loving that you're on here right now. We're chatting
Yeah,
because I
thank you for
can't wait to
having me,
learn from you.
man.
Can't wait to learn from you. But yeah, let's break the ice here. So
Do it,
first
man.
question. Tell us something about you that most people don't know.
Ooh. I mean, I guess there's a lot of things, but the first one that comes to my mind is my deep obsession with animated Disney-like movies. Super random, but I'm always one to choose one of those movies over like an action-packed kind of drama or something like that. And for me, I don't know, there's so much innocence in storytelling like that. And I think those messages have the most profound universal wisdom. And like, this is another part, like, I cry on every freaking movie because it just hits my soul. I don't know what it is, but I think storytelling is so powerful. And if you can do it in a playful, animated, fun format, you can relay messages in such a powerful way. I don't think, and I've never shared that. So that's definitely something
Yeah,
only
it is something new. I wouldn't have thought that. I wouldn't have thought that. I'm a Disney fan. I love Disney. Got a little Mickey tattoo here. What's
Oh,
your favorite
nice.
Disney movie?
Ooh. No, I think that's Pixar. Huh.
Pixar's Disney. That counts. That counts.
Oh,
It's
I mean, there's so many. Kung Fu Pandas are great. Um, Beauty and the Beast throwback. The cartoon version's really good. Um, yeah, there's so many, bro.
so many. I mean, yeah, they're all such good stories too. Mine's Coco. I love Coco. Uh,
Nice.
it's
I
because my
recently
son.
watched
We
that.
I probably know the whole soundtrack of Coco. Like I could probably
Wow.
sing it, but that'll be a different podcast. That'll be a different podcast. So
Great question to break the ice, man.
yeah, thank you, thank you. So like, what started your journey? You're an entrepreneur. You own a social media agency. You do breath work. You do coaching. You do so much. You have a podcast. Like you're on social media. You're everywhere. Like what started this? Like where was it that I need to go this route in my life?
Well, for most people who go on like a spiritual or personal development journey, 9 times out of 10 from what I found, it starts from pain. They want to find a way to cope with their own pain. And that was definitely me. At 14 years old, I had a really severe anxiety attack and I didn't know what was happening to me. I thought I was dying, got rushed to the hospital, did the whole thing, man. And for a year plus after that day, my life changed forever because I had an anxiety attack every single day for a year after that day. So at 14 years old, I was super miserable. I wanted to kill myself, was depressed, I had the highs and lows, anxiety, living in the future, anticipating the worst possible outcome every moment. And then when I wasn't anxious, I was depressed, thinking about the past, thinking how good life used to be. And I could never live in the present moment, man. I was a mess. So I went down the traditional route, long story short, got uh, pharmaceutical drugs, antidepressants, Xanax, at freaking 14, 15 years old. And I was numb, man. One day went to school, forgot to take the drugs, and I freaked out because I was having withdrawal symptoms. Didn't know at the time it was withdrawals, but I don't got to get into all the details, but I figured it out later on. And I started asking bigger questions, man. And like all my friends were worried about being popular, and I was worrying about my mental sanity. So I grew up really fast, and I got into mindfulness, meditation, taking a more holistic approach into healing, such as, nutrition and different things like that. But then when I was 16, I got offered a beautiful gift from the universe. I call it grace, when something is given to us that we didn't necessarily create. That's the universe showing us that it has our back. And I've had hundreds of those moments throughout my life. But one of my first ones that was the biggest was when I was 16. Got introduced to entrepreneurship. In the same week I got introduced to entrepreneurship, I watched a movie called The Secret, which is all about the law of attraction, using your mind to create your reality. And I was a broken, naive 16-year-old, and I believed every word that came through that film. I believed it in my core. I believed it in my essence. And then that same week, I now had an opportunity to make money. Dude, everything changed. I had a vision of my future, like a positive vision, where I believed I could become something more. So my anxiety started to disappear. And then I had this opportunity that just sparked something in me, sparked this belief, this passion, this love to break free of societal norms. So I did really well in that venture. And at 17 years old, just 1 year later, I was anxiety free, pulled up to school in a $55,000 Mercedes Benz that I manifested through the company that I worked with. And also another one of the manifestations was this is no bullshit, and people from my high school will know this. I said, I'm going to date the hottest girl in this school. That was another part of the manifestation. And that happened as well. So I felt like I was on top of the world. I learned really early on that I was a creator. And from there, I started to attract different business mentors, different spiritual mentors. And as I grew, man, I realized, though, at one point that you can't just always become something more. There's also a stage in the spiritual journey where you actually have to let go and just return to you already are. There's like a lot of spiritual bypass in the community. And for me, what that means is like, you don't ever go to the root of like what caused that anxiety, what caused that depression, what caused those mental health things. And it wasn't until really the past 3 years that I went down that road and also started my own like big business that I have now, or big company. And that's when I really, really started to grow and evolve. And I started to understand like our greatest pain holds our greatest gifts. And if we can turn that pain into power, we can show others how to heal that. And in that, you become the real you, I call it, and you unlock, I call it, the soul's blueprint, which is pretty much just your highest truth, the highest part of you that's divine. So I know that's a kind of scattered version, but the story is really long, but the beginning is really important. The middle is not so much. And where we're at now, I think, is really important too.
Yeah, that's I love that story. It's powerful because a lot of people are suffering from anxiety. I mean, I suffer from anxiety too. That's the reason why I do yoga, meditation, and what I do, and depression, and especially during these times, it's skyrocketing. And there's so many routes to go, and a lot of people don't know like the tools, or maybe don't have access, or have seen The Secret or manifestation or things like that. So that's why you're here. That's why you're here to share. That's why you're here to share that. So, it's awesome that you took that route. That's awesome that you're inspired by the universe. And how cool is that? High school, rolling up in a Benz. Woo! Boys and girls, if you're listening, you're in high school. If you're a sophomore and you're ready to get, your car, manifestation right there. We got proof right here.
I think it's again, graceful moments for me, where at 16 years old, I was introduced to such ancient wisdom. And I will say The Secret doesn't have the movie itself. It doesn't have all the ingredients to really create magic in your life, but it gives you just enough to start getting a taste of what's possible for you. And you really do get an understanding that thoughts are things. And the beautiful thing about being a kid is like you have so much less programming from society. We have been programmed to believe we are so limited, that we're so powerless, that we don't create reality, that we don't have the power to change our life like that. But I disagree with that completely. And as you get older, people start to believe that more and more because they get separated from that one dream they had when they were a kid. And then as they get older, just the doubt starts to creep in, like there's no way that'll ever happen. Well, that's the problem. And with a kid, they're just naive. They just believe. But I think part of the journey of becoming our best selves is undoing a lot of the programs that we've been taught to believe. And for me, one of the biggest like limiting beliefs I've been able to shatter about society is rising to success. I mean, I always knew from that, after I watched that movie, I was like, I am going to be at the time, I was like, I'm going to be a millionaire before I'm 21. I didn't quite hit that time range, but it did happen before I turned 30, which is incredible. So, you know, I think the sky's the limit, but the first thing you have to realize is that the sky is the limit. Like there is no limits. There is no ceiling. The only ceiling is the story of why you can't do it. And all the stories are self-imposed, man. So I think people got to really, really learn the power of energy. And when you shift your energy, you shift your attention, and then you start taking new actions. And when you take new actions, you get new results, but you have to start first with the energy. Because if you don't change that energy, your focus will always be in the same spots, always be on the story, always be on the limitation. But if you get into a feeling of limitlessness, if you really feel that empowered energetically, and that's what I show people how to do, is feel that first, then go take some new actions. You're going to do totally different things you never even thought were possible because you're tapping into your soul. And I'm speaking to your soul right now because it knows it's limitless. It knows it's abundance, but you got to get rid of all the BS from society to really get there.
Yeah. Get rid of all that programming, reprogram your mind, feel it, and then go for it. Who's your top 5 teachers? You know, like, so you went on this journey, top 5 teachers.
Yeah. Well, I own a spiritual social media company. So I help spiritual leaders build their brands online. So I've had many teachers, both through my company as well, just in life. Oh man. Oh, first of all, I will say life is the greatest teacher. Life will teach you more wisdom than anything else if you're looking to be a student of life. If you're looking to be a victim of life, you'll think life is always happening to you. But on the spiritual journey, you'll actually start to realize everything, and I mean everything with no BS, has happened for you, but it's your job to figure out why it's happened for you. So that alone is such a powerful teacher. But man, I mean, Robin Sharma, incredible, kind of low key, he's a great teacher. Joe Dispenza, a huge impact on my life. Massive, massive shout out, Joe. Tony Robbins, fucking huge. Oh man, who else? There is Robert Greene, he's a great one. I guess that's 5 because life was the first
Boom.
one. So
yeah. All great teachers. All great teachers. They're really, especially Tony Robbins and Dr. Joe, big on my list.
Yeah, same. Sure. They're for sure both incredible humans. I am so grateful to them. I always tell people, like, I'm nothing special. I have simply learned from the best and modeled them and mimicked them. And I applied their teachings and wisdom. And then if it worked, I made it my own, tweaked it, whatever. That's how we grow as humans. I think there's a stage in spirituality where you got to take the truths, apply the truths, see if they work. And if they do, that's your authentic truth. And my truth may be different than your truth, but it's important to get into that stage. But yeah, man, I'm so freaking grateful for all my teachers. Michael Beckwith, another one. There's so many.
I love him. Yes, I love him. Yeah. Tell me about your company. It's I Am Powerful.
Yeah,
tell me about it.
Oh man. Well, we work with spiritual leaders and we help them find their ideal clients for the cheapest amount of money. So what we do is we build their brands online, and we pretty much take them to the masses. And I'm talking like, tens of millions of people. We've helped so many grow from pretty much nothing to millions. And there's a lot of privacy around it, but what I can say is that it's just such a privilege to be able to share messages that impact so many souls. And the cool thing is like I do it through myself, through my coaching and other things, but I also do it through the vessel of other people's, which I think is really cool. And me and my team, we all have like a passion to spread messages of positivity, messages of inspiration, messages of spirituality and wisdom, because right now the world is really starving for wisdom more than ever.
Yes, really is. It really
Yeah.
is.
But it's
I
amazing.
feel
It's a
that.
very successful business. It's taught me so much about business, about life, about myself, because your business is really just an extension of you. And I've learned that as I grow, as I expand, as I overcome myself, my business goes with it. And clients pop in from nowhere. I don't even like, it's so crazy. I do not have a website, and this is a near 7-figure business. But when you provide a service that's so valuable, and you make yourself completely irreplaceable to the marketplace, people will find you. And when you work on your energy, you become like a magnet to opportunity. You become a magnet to abundance, to money, to success, to impact, to service. So whatever frequency you're on, you're going to create more of that. So I find people who, as I've grown, I've seen that my caliber of client has changed as I've changed, because they're like it's an extension. So if we're on that kind of same frequency, I'll notice like in my journey, I'll be on the brink of like a spiritual kind of discovery, and then I'll attract the client whose work is like all in that. And I'm just like, man, this is crazy. And then I learn so much. My team learns. It's cool. It's like you're constantly learning and sharing with the world.
Yeah, like co-creating with the world, the universe, just throwing you
Yeah.
breadcrumbs, and
Breadcrumbs,
you got a
bro.
podcast too. Tell me
Yeah,
about your
breadcrumbs of
podcast.
inspiration. I've kind of been it's something where I'm at first I was like really dedicated to doing every single week, but I have kind of transitioned my focus just because I have other priorities. But I do have a bunch of episodes I just need to put out. And yeah, it's awesome. It's a place where we dissect success, spirituality, and really it's all about becoming the best version of yourself, which is what really matters. Because when you become the best version of yourself, we have a nature in us that wants to share, that wants to give back, that wants to love. But so many people, because they haven't really gotten to that deep place of their soul, they do it for selfish reasons. But I love to just, dissect that process and share it with people, because in my journey of becoming the best version of myself, and it's a daily process. I learned that I'm so much more happy with myself. People around me are way more happy with me because I'm in my true nature, not the ego and other things in the mind. So that's what it's all
That's why I
about, man.
love you, man. That's why I love you, man. You're really out here helping the world. You really are. I
Doing my,
remember
doing my best. I'm not far from perfect, man. I got so many flaws, but I really do work hard on myself. Like I work harder on myself than anything else.
yeah, and it's like finding those other people that are working on themselves too. It's just like that. That's why I love you, brother.
Love
And
you too,
like
man.
in terms of like with what you do and your success, like how important is that to surround yourself with just people that are either working on themselves or at a different level than you? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to be the smartest person in a room, ever. And you become the average of the 5 people you hang around most, whether that's your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your friends. That is who you will become. It's a law. So be very cautious with who you spend your time and energy with. And as you grow, your peer group or your friends should shift. And if you've had the same friends for 10, 20 years, you got to expand outside of that comfort zone, because when you mingle and hang out with people playing the game at a higher level than you, they're going to influence you just energetically to become a better version of yourself. And that's going to help you expand. And we can learn from everybody. My circles are constantly expanding and growing. And I am proactively trying to be a part and become friends with people who are who are playing the game at a way different level than I am, because when I'm around them, it just rubs off. And I like to associate myself with a lot of quote unquote successful people in terms of what success is defined in this reality of like having a lot of money and building a successful business, which is definitely important. But the value those people bring to me is business skills. The value I bring to those people is how to be more conscious and live through their hearts. And there's a lot of successful people who just are not happy. They have all the money in the world, but they haven't learned basic principles to tap into joy and beauty and love. So I think you become who you associate with. And to take it a step further, if you're like, well, I don't know anybody like that, read books. When you're reading a book, you're stepping into that author's world, and you can read biographies and autobiographies, and you can be right there with them and have a conversation. I don't know if you can see it in frame, but with like Steve Jobs, it's right there. Like he's right there, and I can go hang out with him for a weekend if I want to read the book. So there's a lot of ways, and there's no excuses to do that. I think it's so important.
So important. Books, yes. Steve Jobs, and what's two other books that you really love?
If you want like a good, I think for people listening, a great book is the 5 a.m. Club, Robin Sharma.
Okay. 5 a.m.
That's
Club.
that's a
I haven't
solid.
heard of that.
You'll really get into the world of other people, and it's well done. One of my favorite books.
5 a.m. Club.
Yes.
Everybody hear that? 5 a.m. Club, go get it. So for most people listening here, they're either yoga teachers or they're creators or maybe even comedians. So I'm dabbling in that. And I get a lot of questions about, posting social media, starting a social media, and like just the inspiration or, what do I do or where do I start? What advice, because you own, a social media company and you help, all these big time spiritual influencers, what advice would you give to someone like a yoga teacher, just someone just starting a social media, someone just starting day one of building a brand?
I think the most important thing, it's a mindset thing, is like you got to get out of your own way. So many people, they don't ever follow their dreams, start the social media simply because they fear criticism. And our society is really becoming weird around being criticized, and like people think they have to be perfect and have it all figured out before they can make a video talking about how to better your life. It's like, no, like if you did something that works, share it with others, period. Nothing else matters. Like, and that's why I'm so big on the mindset, because I think a lot of people, like I said earlier, was kind of alluding to, like, we truly want to serve, and serving to me may be different than what's serving to you. Like some people, to serve is to be a yoga teacher. Some people, to serve is to be a comedian. Some people, to serve is to make a movie. Some people, to serve is to be like a coach. It doesn't matter what it is, but if you're caught up on yourself and you're worried about your, significance or how you look to the world or whatever, and you're just not focused on the mission, I think you won't ever take that jump, because you're in yourself, and you need to get out of yourself to be able to serve something bigger than you. And when you do that, you tap into inspiration. When you do that, you get out of your own way. You say, you know what? This isn't about me. This is about the potential person on the other side of that screen looking to start yoga or looking to be what, fill in the blank. But if you don't make that jump in yourself, you can never give back to another person. So a lot of conversations, I have with my clients in the beginning, some of them, depending on what scale they're at, like a lot of them are just, they have a hard time wanting to share themselves. Like they have a hard time wanting to step into the cliches of like filming a video or whatever. But I always have this conversation with them. It's like, it's not about you. Like, I get it. That's hurting your ego, but it's not about you. And it doesn't matter the means in which the message gets relayed. Sometimes you got to play the game. You got to play the game. Once you beat the game, you could change the rules. But for now, this is the game, and you got to play it and you got to master it. And then you can create your own game later. But don't try to run away from such a powerful tool we have in our freaking pocket. that can literally change the world. Like, I love social media. There's parts of it I absolutely hate, and it's wrong what they do from a psychological standpoint to get you like addicted. But that's where you got to work on the mindset of spiritual mastery, where your attention, you're able to focus it in, harness it, and not be distracted every single second by a little notification. You got to be proactive in these things. But yeah, I think just do it. I mean, there's no right or wrong way. Start. And the start stops most people. But if you just start and you work on the energy first and you just get out of your way, that's really that's the best way to do it. Because all the practical stuff, I can give you the formula on exactly the how. I can give you all the things. If the energy is right, you'll never apply it. So you got to start with the energy first.
Exactly. Have to start the energy first, and just start and be consistent.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong way to do it. And that's the uniqueness of building a brand, is it's like, it's you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And don't DM me for free advice, because every time I give free advice out there, you just argue with me. Okay.
I'm just so they don't really want the answer. They want you to justify their story on why they can't change.
Exactly. And I found out that you do coaching. Tell me about this. I love it.
Oh man, it just puts a smile on my face because I love it so much. Man, over the past 2 years, it's really evolved since COVID, because I used to travel all across the world all the time with some of my different clients with the social media side of things. And I've always been a coach on the side of all these things. Like, I've been helping my friends and family since I was young with different challenges in their life. And I feel a lot of people look to me for that inspiration, because I've been able to overcome so much and build something that, is significant in the eyes of other people. And it has its purpose in the world. But yeah, man, I take people through a process called your soul's blueprint. And that's essentially where I help them discover what the highest version of themselves, what that part of their life can be. And I help them jump into it. So overcoming their traumas, their fears, their limitations, learning how to really cultivate their own energy from within and align their energy so that they can become a manifester and build the business, create the relationship. Don't only just have a relationship, have passion in the relationship, have polarity. Everybody's soul's blueprint is unique, but in my sessions with them, I help them unlock that in themselves. And all they're really doing, if I had to simplify it in one sentence, is tapping into their soul. So many people have no idea what that means. But when you tap into your soul or your higher self or the God or whatever you want to call it, that's when you're granted access to the blueprint. You see through a different lens. You become someone else because you're seeing different things you never saw before. And that's because your energy changes. So it's a really intense program. It's really powerful. And right now I'm working on building it into an event format, which should be coming potentially by the end of the year, but I don't know if we're going to hit that deadline. It may be next year, but I'm going to be doing like a really epic online event and got a whole lot of magic planned.
Heck yeah. Exciting.
Yeah.
Coming
man,
soon.
I love it, dude, because it's not just, it's, like everything I do, whether it's in my business or coaching, it's like, it's results oriented. Like, if my clients aren't getting results, they're not going to stay with me in both coaching and in social media. So I love putting myself on the line in that sense, because it makes me have to step up and be better and, learn new strategies, tap into my intuition on deeper levels so I can serve the person in front of me. And the cool thing about coaching is, like, you never freaking, social media is so predictable. Coaching, so unpredictable. Like, you never know what the heck is about to happen. And there's been times where I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to help this person. And in that moment, I have to find the faith to know the answers are going to come through or the strategy is going to come through. And in those moments, for me, they're so graceful as well as the other person. And it moves me, man, because I realize, like, I'm nothing special, but it's a privilege and honor to be vessel for something bigger. And it's my soul speaking to their soul. And yeah, it heals me, it heals them. It's just beautiful. I literally cannot get enough of it.
That's awesome. Win-win situation. Helps you, helps them.
Totally.
And being a channel just to the universe, I recently learned Reiki And with Reiki healing, it's really like all you're doing is just like clearing yourself out. You're just a channel of the energy and flowing into the other people. And
Yep.
that's kind of how I felt. You're coaching, not that it's Reiki or anything, but it's just like you're just a channel, you're just helping.
Yeah.
And so like on a first session, without giving like, your secret sauce away or anything, like what would be the ideal person that would come to coaching for you? And then like, what would be like maybe the first 15 minutes, like maybe a question or two you would ask, or, you know, something like that.
Yeah. So, I think so the people who really end up finding me are usually people either in business or about to start their own business. They're ready to make that jump. They just don't know how to do it. And somebody who simply wants more. Usually the person who comes to me has some type of foundational understanding with personal development, with spirituality. And there's a lot of bullshit out there. So I essentially, we get down to the root really fast, bro. And the first session, I need to know where they're at. So I probe them and ask them questions on where they're at and where they want to go. And I always start every session with the same question. And I stole this from Tony Robbins, but it's so true. It's like, do you believe change can happen in 1 second?
Mm.
That's a question I always, because if they believe that, that's all I need to know. Once I know that, I know they believe in their potential, and I know that there's no ceilings. I just got to help them remove the limiting beliefs to get to that soul's blueprint. So this isn't a 1 session type thing. I do 1 sessions with people once in a while, but this is like a 6-month intense program that I take people through. But right now I'm in the early stages of it. So I'm learning to condense it, like all the modules and different things that come up. But a lot of it's just being built through my intuitions. Cause like I said, I don't always know what's going to come up. And it makes that's how I grow. Like I find a way. So it's beautiful.
Beautiful. There you go, everybody. There you go. Need some coaching in the description. That's where it's at. Go visit Anton. He's helped me out so much just being a friend of his on our journey of just this spiritual brotherhood, just throwing back ideas, talking. Love you, man. I probably said I love you like 5 times.
Love you too, bro.
It's a
Hey, man.
bromance here. It's a
Hey,
bromance here. It's okay.
the cool thing is there's never a cap to love.
That's
Like
true.
that's a thing. Like actually, I just did a session yesterday, and my client was like, it's so funny because she came out, or she didn't tell me this, but she was like all happy. And I was telling her, asking her some questions. And long story short, by the end of the call, she's bawling her eyes out. She had like such a moving experience. It was like some of the like inner child stuff we were doing. And she was like, man, she was like, I came on here. She was like, I was like, what is he going to possibly work with me on today? Like, we've done so much in the past 3 months. Like, there's nothing more. And then, like, again, I didn't know what we were going to work on, but it comes through, and I tap into the resourcefulness inside myself, and it just comes through in a beautiful way. But the reason I'm saying that is because like people sometimes think there's a cap to how great you can feel. But the feeling of love, there's always a greater feeling of the amplification of that frequency. And when you can get people to start to understand that, it becomes really fun because abundance is abundance. There is no scarcity in abundance. So when you really understand that, you're like, wow, there's no limits to how
Abundance
great we can
mindset.
feel. Yeah.
Absolutely. Abundance mindset. That's the universe. It's in abundance. It's in
Facts.
abundance. And what practices are you, what practices right now are you working on yourself? I know you do multiple practices, but right now, what are you learning or doing?
Oh man. I am really at a stage right now where I'm refining a lot of my coaching abilities and learning different techniques and methods, so that I can tap into that resourcefulness during my calls. But I mean, the usual, I meditate every morning. I just prime myself for a beautiful day. I put myself in a really high elevated state of gratitude and love. And I really try to open my heart to the greatest extent in the morning. Because I know if I can do that, my day will be filled with magic. And the
Yes.
days I hit it, it's always a magical day, like clockwork, and things happen that just you can't really predict. So I am very disciplined on making sure that my morning starts off super powerful. After I meditate, take a nice cold shower. Sometimes I do sauna, sometimes I don't. And then I read, I journal, do some breath work sometimes. It's always changing. But yeah, and you know, I think this past year for me, I really developed my faith. Like I've really developed my faith in the universe and God. And I wouldn't say I'm definitely not religious. I would say I'm more spiritual, but I have learned in this past year that I now genuinely feel my connection with the universe, where before it was like all intellect. Now it's like a feeling of knowingness. Like I know I'm having this conversation with you right now, but I also know in this very moment I'm being guided, and I feel it, and I feel that guidance, and I work on that guidance every day of my life. And I really got inspired through that, through my partner Irina, who's just an incredible soul, and she really yeah, she really reinstilled and inspired me to develop my faith to a greater extent. And in doing that, I've never felt the type of connection I do now. So every morning and every night I pray, and I don't ask for things though. Like I do sometimes, but it's more of a thanks. Like it's more of like gratitude of like, damn, like this presence loves me so much and it asks for nothing in return. How can I thank you?
Mm.
um, and it's really powerful energy to tap into, man. I know I might be sounding a little wooey, but it's real for me. So
I feel it, man. I feel the wooey. It's good. Since our previous, podcast talks, I do feel like you're more chill, more present, more just in the moment. Not that you weren't before. Like I felt like you were
no,
then. I
totally.
just didn't know that there was, more of that. Well, there's abundance, but I
Yeah,
feel like
no,
you
no,
were more
no.
driven then, maybe, and now you're just like more in tune,
Well,
driven but in tune.
yeah, I'm driving from a more aligned place. Like when you're, and this is a stage of big, like I say, business is a spiritual game, right? And what do I mean by that? I mean that in order for the business to grow, you have to grow. If you really want to grow the business, you have to get to a place of service. How can you provide more value than anybody else? And the more value you present or give, the more you receive. So in the past, it was like I was driven from a place of more like Dr. Joe says, matter to matter, like trying to work with the 3D laws to affect change. But when you understand quantum, you understand that your energy affects everything around you. You're causing an effect. You're not cause and effect. You're causing the effect on your reality. But that can't come until your energy is like synchronized, until you're really in tune with yourself. Because once you become really in tune with yourself and you really tap into energy, most people have no idea what this means. You don't have to work so hard. Things start to actually come to you because you become like a
Mhm.
magnet to your destiny. So the only thing that's changed from then to now, which is like I think 2 years ago,
Yeah.
is I simply know it more. It's not that I didn't know it back then. I just know it better now. It's a deeper sense of wisdom. It's not intellect. It's like I am practicing this in my everyday life, and I still work super hard, but the hardest thing I work on is myself. Like
Mm.
the skills and all that stuff that will all come, but I know if I can work harder on myself than anything else and work from a place of congruence and alignment, your results will be a millionfold because you're not forcing, you're not in like your third center of your will, you're in your heart, which is a way more powerful energy. And people don't realize that. Like love is way stronger than fear. Fear is more heavy, but love is like a feather and it's so light and it can flow and it's so powerful and it can't be like boxed in. So when you operate from that place in a sense of business, man, and you operate in that knowingness, it allows you to just fucking relax, dude. Like,
Yeah.
man, 2, 3 years ago, like I was working like a dog and I was getting great results, but I don't know. It's just a different level of consciousness. And that's what I show people how to do. It's like, dude, your whole life you can have a way better life and work way less. Most people don't actually realize that. But like 2 years ago, when we had that chat, I was an operator of my business. I wasn't an owner of the business. Every decision that was made, everything came through me. I was the bottleneck for everything. So I was always fucking stressed out. Now I have a team who understands it better than I do sometimes, and they don't even run decisions by me. They make their own decisions, and I don't even see most of the stuff. And it's like this that frees me up, and that's part of, again, in me growing, that's what allowed my life to unfold in that way. So now, like, when I'm on this interview, I'm not thinking about what I have to do for the social media like, I'm just here, you know.
Yeah.
It's a level of presence and mastery in oneself. I don't know if that answers what we were talking about.
Amazing quote too. You said, the hardest thing I work on is myself. Like, that is, if that's not quoted anywhere, like, you got to take that, man.
It probably is. A lot of, like, I feel like all my teachers have said it, but it's true. And this is why, like, you can work really, really hard on your business, on your whatever, and it can all go away in 6 months, a year. You know what never can go away? The power that you've developed inside of your spirit, the wisdom you've gained from your experience, the love you shared with yourself and others. And when you really understand that, you realize the greatest, like, asset allocation strategy is simply on working on yourself. You are your greatest asset, and no one can take it from you. And that's why, like, I have this insane confidence that if for whatever reason all my businesses, all my investments went to zero, I know I would be right back where I'm at 3 to 6 months from now, because it's not what I'm doing, it's who I am. It can't be taken from me. And when you do that, man, you have a power. And I really think people feel it.
Absolutely. Boom. Boom. You hear that, everybody? Did you hear that? Hope you're listening. Better be listening. We're getting to the end of our time here.
Man, that's so fast. Every time I do an interview, I'm just like, yo, that was so fast.
Yeah, it was like, felt like 5 minutes. Felt like 5 minutes. But is there anything else you'd like to share? Is there something like we missed, or anything in your body you need to, like, just like any energy you need to send out to these listeners?
I think I actually shared this on a recent interview, but I'll just share it again. It's like, your greatest pain, your greatest trauma, your greatest betrayal, the most unjust thing that has ever happened to you. And we all have them. We're not special for our pain. We all have pain, and no one's pain is greater than your pain or my pain. But if you can harness the ability to realize and go to those places and find the reasons why they happened for you and not to you, your whole life will change. When you realize the worst day of your life was actually the best day of your life, I swear to God, everything changes. And it's not like an intellectual, like, yeah, that was this. It's like, no, it's a knowingness in your freaking heart and soul. And I really believe when you do that, you unlock something I called spiritual power. It's kind of like what I was alluding to a second ago. It's a strength inside of you that nobody can take it away. And it's really powerful to look into the face of adversity and know you can't be shaken. Know that no matter what happens, you're guided. No matter what happens, how bad it may seem, there's a bigger divine plan for it. And this is a process I take a lot of my clients through, but it's like, that's how we really begin to heal. And we stop being a victim and we tap into our soul, and that frees us. And then when we free ourselves, we free others. So I think that's one thing. Another thing I want to share too is that we're living in the age of digital distraction. Everywhere we go, our attention, our energy is being pulled. And where you place your attention is where you place your energy, quoting one of my mentors, Dr. Joe. And if your attention is always on your phone, always on what everyone else's life is up to, always on IG Reels and YouTube Shorts and TikTok and all these short attention span things, you're giving your very vital life force to a program of a machine, and it's robbing you of your destiny. And when I started to just shut off my phone and limit my time on social media and decide to pick up a book instead of scroll, everything started to change. And that's a message I share on every interview because I think it's so important. And if you make it to the end, that says something about you. There's something calling to you in this moment, and you have to listen to it. And the more you cultivate that spiritual power of like taking distractions away from everything in the outside world, all of that energy and power moves back to you. And that's energy you can use to create a new life with. So you have to be discerned in your thoughts, in your attention, and in your focus, and bring it back to you. Not because you're a narcissistic ego person, but because this is your life and you deserve to live the life of your dreams. But you can't get there if the matrix, so to speak, has all your energy. So take it back.
Take it back. That's such good advice. And that's advice that I work on and live by, as well as being a creator. I shut my phone off and I try not to give as much attention. I still give it a lot of attention, but you're right. Like, I've been reading more books this year, and it's like, yeah, then you have that knowledge compared to just all this wasted energy out there. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
There's no wisdom you're going to find in a Instagram reel. Like, yeah, there may be wisdom in the reel, but it's not lifelong wisdom that you're going to apply to change your life. You're going to find that through a book. You're going to find that through a long podcast where you actually can get more out of it. Like, and we're addicted. That's it. We're addicted. And these social media, I have a social media company. They know that they are triggering certain responses in your brain that are subconscious that keep you coming back. So you got to pull the attention back, because I mean, man, how shitty would it be to become 80, 90 years old and realize like, holy fuck, I wasted so much of my life on a cell phone that did nothing for me. I don't want that level of regret. And I know nobody else does.
Ooh, it's tough to think of 89 years old and you're like, man, I've watched 1 million reels. And I've
spent 175,000 hours scrolling my life.
And that now, so don't be that person.
Don't be that person.
Thanks for sharing that wisdom, Anton. And where can everyone find you that's listening right now? Where can everyone find you?
The easiest way is just my Instagram. So it's Anton Wisbiski, ANTON WISB as in boy, ISKI. I don't have websites and stuff. I'm for my coaching and stuff. That's all being built out right now. For my social media stuff, if you want to talk about it, just DM me, or my coaching as well. Just DM me and we can chat.
Boom. And it's in the link. If you're listening and it's in the link, I linked these up for you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Hey. I got your links. Okay. Yogi so you can Bryan go in the description. You can, yes, Yogi Bryan's got you. So in the description, you go to those links, you click on them. If you're 89 years old, you just click on that hyperlink. It's like a blue thing, whatever. You can do it. But yeah, that's the end of this show. So thank you so much, Anton. Really appreciate you, brother. I'm going to say it again for the 100th time. I love you, man. Really appreciate you. People need to go follow you. They need to go.
Hey, man, thank you for all you do. You work so hard and you put out so much to give back to the people. So I always notice that hustle and that work ethic. And I know you share it from a beautiful place inside of you. And I think you do a really great job of showing people how to step out of their norms and comfort zones and just try new shit. And I think that's so important, because in doing that, you've discovered more things about yourself and you're showing people how to do the same. And that's invaluable, man. So thank you for putting in that extra mile, because it goes a long way.
Thank you. Thank you so much, brother. I know you've seen the journey. You've seen the struggles and starting in the trenches of doing, meditations when I wasn't that good at really doing guided meditations. And then, just practice, man.
That
just
persistence, bro. The repetitions,
it really is. It really is. It's just getting out there and embarrassing myself a little bit and just doing it. And I really respect what you said. I mean, I really respect you, and a compliment coming from you. Thank you so much, brother. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, bro.
Bye, everyone. Namaste.
Peace.